Well, good evening and welcome. Welcome, everybody, to episode 4. Gosh, it feels like we just started this yesterday, but we're on number 4. And we are here to talk about the Love Edition on the She Means Business podcast. Look, I am ultra excited for our next guest. When we started to know that tomorrow is Valentine's Day, and we all know what Valentine's Day is, right? We show all kind of love to everybody, right? It's let me take my person to dinner, flowers, candy, spa, and we do that and we do it for someone else. Like sometimes you think like, what am I doing for myself? How do I show myself some love? And so that's why we kind of kicked off this Love Edition here on the She Means Business podcast because we wanted to talk about it. And so I said, who can we talk to? And we were brainstorming. We said, we know the perfect person because in the Nashville area, and I am sure it is spreading because I think I said her TikToks have been going so viral, right? That not just Nashville, she's known all over, right? The United States and probably in the country as a very, like body positivity, exuding the confidence. She is a model, a runway coach, and I love to see her videos. If you haven't seen her, we're going to give you all the information on how to find her. But we're talking to Ashley Rose today. We call her A Rose. Welcome, A Rose.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that warm introduction. Yes.
Yes, all truth, all truth. So what I'm gonna do is, I know a little bit about you and seeing you on Facebook, right? Like we see each other on social media, but I want to hear a little bit more about Ashley, like how your journey, how did you become A Rose?
So I became A Rose, the model specifically. My runway journey started when I was 11 years old. My mom and I, we were out shopping one day, and she ran into a high school friend of hers named Miss Deborah Robinson. And Miss Deborah had her own modeling production at the time. And she asked my mom, would I be interested in modeling? Well, at the time, I absolutely had no interest. I was a tomboy. I played basketball, volleyball, ran track. So I was a tomboy. I didn't want to do anything that was feminine or any of those things, let alone wear some heels. I'm like, oh my God, no. And so my mom took me to the first rehearsal for an upcoming show that Miss Deborah had. And I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a try. My mom brought me here, so why not give it a try? And so I went to my very first rehearsal. I had my basketball tennis shoes on and I was chewing gum. And I remember Miss Deborah told me, she was like, baby, you got to get you some heels. And she was like, you can't chew gum. And she was like, baby, I'm not sure if you're going to make it. And so I kept going to rehearsals. And we had our very first show. And we had our first show, and literally, like, my alter ego kicked in. And everybody was like, oh my God, who is that person? Like, I went and got all dolled up for the first time. I went and got my hair done and my nails done, and I had my makeup done. And I just felt beautiful on the inside. And I knew I looked beautiful on the outside. So I just really, really felt good about myself. They gave me like a sense of confidence. And so from there, it's just, I took off. It was like, that's my alter ego. I can be this tomboy, on the basketball court or, on the track. But when it came to modeling, I was a whole different beast. And fast forward to now, I know I jumped a whole lot of years, but fast forward to now and in the recent years, modeling has been my happy place. That's the place where I can just let go of any worries, any cares, any fears that I may have. I can let it all go and I can just exude that confidence on the runway, and I can just be free and be me and not worry about anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know you skipped a lot of years, but that is a good foundation. Like, you found a way of how you felt beautiful
Mm-hmm.
and carried that journey with you. Let me ask you, because we skipped a lot of years, right? Were there some times where that lack of confidence like went away, and how did you get it back? First of all, did it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for me personally, a lot of my lack of confidence came from the opinions of others.
Mhm.
So when I was younger, when I was age 11 and I started modeling and I did a lot of sports, I was in tip-top shape. I mean, I don't even know if I had 10% body fat. I was in tip-top shape. I mean, really. And so as I got older, when I got out of high school and I stopped playing sports and I moved to Nashville to attend college, I started to gain weight. And so my friends and my family would say different things about my weight gain. I look fat, I look ugly, all the things, everything, people say, negatively towards, anybody really that gains weight. I've heard it all. And
Mhm.
so those things really impacted my self-esteem and confidence. And actually, it really made me gain weight even more because I would be so down and depressed, and it would make me want to eat. That was my way of coping and dealing with the depression and the opinions of others until I would probably say maybe late 20s, early 30s. I started to realize those people were projecting their insecurities on me. And
Mhm.
so I stopped worrying about what they would say and how they would treat me because of my weight. And I just started to take, you know what, I'm going to take ownership of who I am because I'm exactly who God has me to be.
Mhm.
And just because what my imperfections look like are, different than what somebody else's look like, I have a good heart. I'm good on the inside. I may have a little bit more meat on my bones than somebody else, but just because you're in tip-top shape doesn't make you better than me. And so I started to use all of that as like stepping stones. I use all the negative energy and the negative comments to build me up. And I
Oh,
was like, you know what? I'm gonna show these people that I'm confident and secure in who I am. It doesn't matter what your opinion is about me, but I'm okay with who I am, and that's all that matters.
so you
And
did.
when you start to love who you are and people see that you love who you are, then they'll back up. Either your positive energy will rub off on them, they'll start to love who they are, or they'll back away completely and they'll leave you alone because they're like, oh, she okay with who she is. I can't worry about it.
Yep.
Hmm.
And that's such a hard thing, like to I hear you say it, right? And it took me back, right? Because growing up as a heavier set person, you get the comments and you have to fight with yourself, right? To go like, you are beautiful, but they don't think so. And that that devil and angel on your shoulder constantly. And you're like, I have, you grow up and you go, why was it so hard? Like people make it so hard to be you and the constant fighting to love yourself, right? Like I know in my teenage years, oh gosh, it was great on one hand, right? To the outward, but that inner young girl who did not feel beautiful, who used to have to fight those negative words that were coming. I hate to always say it, but from family, because family does it. They don't know that oh, you're putting on weight is a constant reminder of what you look like. And so it takes you down and you have to fight through it. And you go, how many years of this suffering would I have avoided if I had more of those positive affirmations growing up, that started early and nurtured the 11-year-old you, right? That got that nurturing to model and had that positivity to keep her going. Even when the downtimes kind of came, you were like, I got to remember and reflect that the way I felt this way that made you continue on this path to where you are today, right? I think to myself, I was like, I never had that 11-year-old girl. So it was just a constant, I just had to grow out of it. I can say no other way that I wish I had the tools, right, to reflect on that, how it could help you develop and get into a mode of self-love. Right?
Mhm.
So I introed that to ask the young girls today, like, how do you tell them or guide them on how to get those positive, that self-love, those like, what do you give, what kind of advice do you give them?
So I actually work with young girls pretty often, actually. I work at a middle school. And so that's one of those very, very important and prominent ages when you have to deal with, things of bullying and, people judging you or criticizing you because of your hair or your skin tone or the things that you wear. And so one thing that I always remind my girls is that they're beautiful in the skin that they're in. It doesn't matter your skin tone, or because you don't have long hair like the next person, that doesn't make you less attractive. Or, because you have to wear a particular type of clothing, you may not have the money to wear name brand clothing. Your family may not have that, but it doesn't make you less than. You can
Mhm.
still put it together and look nice and presentable just as the next person can. And so I always try to remind my girls of that. And one thing that I do, not even just with young girls too, but with women that are my age, because we deal with it as well. Like anytime I come across someone, I always compliment something that I see about them. I always say, I love your hair. Oh, you have a beautiful smile. I love your shirt. And it's just those small compliments can go a really, really long way. Somebody can be having a bad day, or they may feel like, they're not beautiful, but for somebody to remind them, it could just be something that sets them off or clicks in their head that, maybe I am beautiful. And so
Mhm.
I always do that. And I do it a lot with my girls at the middle school. I always remind them, like I said, every time I say, I say, hey, beautiful, hey, gorgeous, or I love your hair, I love your shirt, I love your shoe. I always compliment something. I
Mhm.
always do that because I want to remind them that they are valued and they are accepted just the way that they are, because society tears us down enough, we still have this skin tone complex things that people do. You're too dark skinned, so then they try to make you feel like you're not attractive, or you weigh a little bit more than the average person your age, so they try to make you feel like you're less attractive when none of
Yep.
those things are true. There's so many different people that are made up, in the world, and so you can be attractive at any size, any height, any skin tone, any of those things. You can be beautiful and attractive. So I always remind my girls of that.
Yes. Yeah, the younger generation definitely has a lot more to deal with than we did. I mean, yes, just the
That in the
social
days of
media.
social media
Yeah,
and reality TV, oh my God, it is ruining our youth.
it
And to
is.
be honest, I'm not just going to say our youth only, because we have grown women that it's ruining as well.
Yeah.
We do this thing called comparison. We always like to compare ourselves to the next person. And
Mhm.
who that is the greatest theft of joy, comparison.
It
Because
is.
that's what we do. Oh, this person has this, or they look like this. Now we got this thing where everybody's getting their body done. So their
Yep.
body can look a particular way. It's not necessary.
Yep.
It's not necessary. That's my opinion, to each his own. But, that's what our young girls are coming up and feeling like they have to do in order to be accepted.
Yeah. No,
Mhm,
I hear it is our opinion, right? But it is.
mhm.
There is a greater need to change your outward to
Mhm.
match what society thinks is
Yep,
the perfect body, the perfect
yep.
butt, the perfect everything. So there's so much more of that, and I get scared because I'm like, y'all are gonna have so much more problems at our age now,
Yeah.
right? The age we are now, we didn't have a lot of that. So I do worry about them. I talk to my nieces all the time to do what you're talking about, a lot more of the affirmations, because I want to be sure that they know that they should accept themselves as they are, like they are just
They are.
perfect the way they are. And to know that, and I drill that to my brothers too. They'll probably watch this and know that, to tell their daughters, because women to women is good, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that father to daughter
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
so much more. It is so important
Yeah.
because it does set a a different type of foundation, a
Mhm,
different
mhm.
type of foundation when they are hearing it from a male figure, so that if the first male figure that tells them they're beautiful, they don't just fall for it because
Yeah.
I already know. My daddy told me that all the time. My uncles told me
Exactly.
that. And when you can confidently know that, that builds a young woman up in a different kind of way, you
It
know.
does.
It does. I grew up with a father, but it was a different relationship. So I knew that when I started to hear that positive affirmations had to came a lot from my mom, right? Moms and their nurturing spirit. Um, but I do love that. I think words of affirmation, um, as I was looking into things, is almost number one, right? We have to not just hear it from others, but learn how to say it to ourselves and believe it.
Ourselves. Yep, that's most important. Yeah.
We have to say to ourselves and believe it. And I'm gonna say this conversation is for me a form of self-love, right? I was reading, it was so funny how I read one list that gave different ways to show self-love. And it could be just as easy as it said decluttering your house. That hit
Mhm.
home. I'm gonna give a little special shout out to one of our members who does that for that's her business, Paris Love. But she does decluttering. And I remember when she sat down with me to talk about, why do you have clutter, Alicia? What's going on in your life? You know, what do you need to get? And I'm like, I just got stuff in the house. I just shop. There's
Uh-huh.
a reason you shop. I just like to shop. No, no, no. There's a reason. And she wanted to dig deep, but I'm like, I just want stuff out the house. She's like, but
Yeah.
there's she's like, there's an inner reason. You have to go
Mhm.
find that. And I was like, but there was a reason. When I don't, I'm not on the couch today, but there was a reason.
Mhm.
But when I saw that as a form of self-love, I thought, that's interesting. And I went, but it's true.
Yeah.
Because again, sidebar on that, now that my house is very less decluttered, I love to be in here.
Mhm.
I stayed out in the streets a lot because my house was just full of stuff. And then I'm like, oh, I got it decluttered. And now I'm like, it feels so good in here. And I could be,
Uh-huh.
and I could sit in here and feel a little lighter. So it's just little things like that that we have to do in order to love on ourselves. Um,
Mhm.
and it comes in different forms, and we can talk a little bit more about that later. But I did want to ask you one question. Because you are a woman with so much self-confidence, does that come across different to people who think they can't talk to you, or you're vain, or you're, I'm gonna say it in our language, she just full of herself?
Yeah. That's a
Do you
really,
get
really good question. I don't know if anybody's ever asked me that, but I have had conversation about that with like close friends. And you're absolutely right. Oftentimes it comes off to people as arrogant, cockiness,
Mhm,
for people who don't know me personally.
mhm,
Like they may just see me in passing or may have heard, of me. And so they automatically assume because this person exudes confidence so highly that she's, like you said, full of herself, or she's arrogant or cocky or unapproachable. I've gotten that a lot where most people think that I'm unapproachable. And it just amazes me because I'm one of the biggest people. I'm a huge people person,
mhm,
hugely. Now, once I come to know a person and I'm not too fond or comfortable in their presence, then I will, shy away from those people, but for good reason. But just naturally, I'm a people person. I'm one of
yeah,
those that never ever meet a stranger. But because I have my head held high, or I hold myself to this high esteem, people just assume that, oh, I don't want to talk to her. She's unapproachable. Like, for example, I've had people that I've never ever met in person before, but they'll inbox me on social media and then I respond and they was like, wow, you respond? I get that a lot. They're like, I
um,
can't believe you responded. I'm like, why would you think that? They were
nah,
like, well, I don't
yeah.
think somebody like you will respond. And I was like, wow, these people must be highly me than I do myself. 'Cause
And,
why
and,
wouldn't I
it's
respond?
and it's only because you're confident,
Yes.
which we all want to be.
Yeah.
So is that because we are, and
Yeah.
I didn't think this about arrows, but by the way, but I think we are, our insecurities
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
reflecting more on how we feel about ourselves, not so much
Yeah.
how you're feeling about
That's
yourself.
true.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. Yeah, that's very, very
And being
true.
confident is awesome. Like, I want to walk into a room like A Rose because she'll walk in and you see her.
Let me tell you, it took me some time to get here. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, with my early adulthood, 18 till about late 20s, with gaining the weight, I didn't have the confidence. Like I would not walk in a room. Oh my God, I would be so fearful of walking in a room with people because I'm like, what are they gonna say? They're looking at me. Oh my God, is my hair okay? What about my face? Is my makeup okay? What about this outfit? Like I'm thinking of all the different things that people are probably not even worried about. But for my own personal self on the inside, I had such low self-esteem that I worried about those things. Like I remember when I was about mid-20s and I used to have my hair cut short, a really, really short pixie cut. It was shaved on the sides and back. And so sometimes I would curl my hair myself, but I would go to the barbershop to get it cut. And the barbershop that I went to, it was a pretty nice size barbershop. They had 8 barbers, and my barber was the very, very last one in the back. And oh my God, every time I had an appointment, I had to go to the barbershop. And every time I would go, it would be full of men. Oh my God, all these, it's a man in every chair. It's a lot of men sitting on the side waiting. And oh my God, I have to walk past all of these men. What are they going to say? Oh my God, they're going to be looking at me. Are they going to think I'm fat? Just, I'm thinking of everything. And so my best friend would have to go to the barbershop with me just so I wouldn't have to sit there by myself. I would have somebody to interact with where I didn't feel like all this attention is drawn towards me because I have someone that I know personally to engage with. And whenever she wasn't available to go to the barbershop with me, I just wouldn't go. I'd be like,
Wow.
well, I can go. And then I started asking my barber, could I be his very, very last appointment? Like, really, could you cut my hair after hours, please? I'll pay
Oh,
extra to cut my hair after hours because I had so much low self-esteem. I was afraid. I was afraid because I was hearing all of these things that my friends and family were saying to me about my weight gain. Now,
mhm.
mind you, I was significantly smaller than what I am now, significantly smaller than what I am now. But in my mind, I was this huge person because
Mhm.
of what other people say. And so I carried that in
Yeah.
everything that I did day to day. I mean, so bad to the point where when I would go shopping, let's say if I went to the grocery store or if I went to the Dollar General or somewhere like that, and I pulled up in a parking lot, if I saw somebody that I knew that were walking in the store before me, I would literally sit in my car until they were done shopping. I would sit in my car and wait for them to finish shopping, and then they would leave before I would go in the store because I feared that they would go back and report to others that they saw me and I gained weight and I look big. That
Wow.
was my fear because it's happened to me a number of times. It's
Wow.
happened to me so many times in my family and coworkers, friends. It's happened to me a lot of times where they will always report back, oh, Ashley's gained weight. Oh, she look like she done lost weight. She look like she didn't gain. My weight is always the topic of
Happened.
discussion. It don't matter. It's gain
Matter.
it or lose it.
It,
They're going to discuss it. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And I tell people all the time, everybody does it, but who? I love my Caribbean culture, but boy,
Mhm.
they will mess with you as soon as you go home. Put on weight. Well, I'm like, every time I go home, so I remember for 7 years I didn't go home. I was just like, I'm okay. I do not need a constant reminder every
Yep.
time.
Yep.
And as you said, I reflect back now and I look at pictures, I'm like, I wasn't even that big.
Exactly.
And I
I'm
had
like,
that thought. Like, why did y'all make me feel that way?
yeah,
It
it's
is. It's
bad.
crazy.
Even with my family, like I said, they would always my family said to another family member of mine, oh, wait till you see Ashley. She done got so big and nasty looking. Oh, wow. And my family member reported it back to me and told me. And I'm like, wow, they would say that?
It was
Like, that's crazy.
crazy. Where do you get that from? And I
Crazy,
and
crazy,
and I
crazy.
and I think I hear from us where we break the cycle, right?
Yeah,
Try to
yeah.
break the cycle, and not with no kids, but even
Hmm.
with young women that we encounter, mentored or been in. And I think it's just important for us. And I know as I talk about self-love, one of the things is we are involved in so many, most of us have a lot of things going on. We're working, we probably have a side business, we're in an organization, we mentor, we volunteer, you do a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why this became a little important for me to have a discussion with you as well, is the self-loving, right? Is remembering that there's nothing else without us, right? It starts with us. And so we have to take care of us, whatever that may look like. If it's, I know I'm going to do my self-love starting 3 o'clock on Sunday as I'm taking a trip and a vacation. And typically I don't take vacations in the beginning of the year. It just was a thing for me. I'm like, no, this year I said every quarter, made it like every quarter, Alicia is taking a nice little trip. And
There you go.
right? Because I'm going to take care of myself, because I don't think I've done a really good job of that over the last several years. Again, that's another couch conversation. You'll probably have a little couch conversation with Alicia. She could tell you all
Yeah.
her stuff. But it's saying, what are you going to do to take care of yourself, to make sure that you are bringing the best you every single time? And there's always going to be times where you're not going to be at a 10, but I'm literally going, how do I show up the best me? And the only way I could do that is I've got to take some time to not be for anybody else. I have to shut it down and say, this week is going to be about Alicia. This weekend is going to be whatever that looks like. If you could only take the weekend, if you can only do that, if you can go for a spa. But we are, we as Black women are the super women, right? Like, we're just doing a lot. Sometimes I look at some people's resume and go, how are you doing all of this? You are busy bee. And I think we just have this innate nurturing thing that we want to take care of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like and it's a good trait, but sometimes it's a trait that drives us into illnesses and into depression and into some other things, because we're not stopping to take time. So you go in, how do I apply this conversation to me? It's because I want you to stop and understand, how do I go inward and make sure that I am loving up on myself?
Yes.
What that looks like. So today, what I'm going is, what is Ashley's time to take care of self? What do you do?
So one of my self-care regimens is I isolate from the entire world. Now, that's something that I'm able to do. I don't have any children, so I am able to isolate basically by turning all of my electronic devices off. I don't take any phone calls. I'm not on social media. I'll do that for 24 hours. And 24 hours may seem like a short period of time, but when I tell you, it refreshes my soul, because I don't have to deal with anything. I don't have to look at any negative comments. I don't have to take any phone calls and deal with anybody else's mess or whatever they have going on. I can just solely focus on me. I don't have to intake anybody else's energy. And sometimes that is so necessary, because we take on so much. Like you said, we wear so many hats, and we want to be the fixer of all things, and we can't do that. And so even in any attempt to do that, we have to make sure that we're okay ourselves first, because if you're not okay yourself, how can you take care of anybody else?
Right.
And so I remember it was last year, 2023, I was in the middle of putting together my annual show, Sorry for the Wait. There were so many different obstacles coming my way, so much to where I really wanted to give up and quit. But I knew I couldn't give up. All these people have purchased their tickets. I got all these models excited. Their friends and families are coming to support them. I can't give up. I've got literally all of this entire operation is on my shoulders. So how do I move forward? Because I don't want to move forward. So what I did was, I did not notify anybody. I didn't tell anybody a thing. I took off a day of work. I turned off all of my electronic devices. I went and got a full body massage, and I went to go have hibachi. I came home and I watched TV. All of my devices are powered off. I don't care what's going on. It has to wait until I'm done after my 24 hours. I
No.
need a mental cleansing, and that's what I had to do because I was ready to just give up. I didn't want to go for it. I was like, I do not want to do this. There is no way I can do it. All the negativity is coming away, and it's like so many things are being thrown at you, and you just feel like, oh my God, what is the solution to this? How am I going to get out of this? Okay, how are we going to make this work? It was so much that I was just like, oh my God, I need a break. And
No.
I took a break. And I didn't give anybody a heads up because I knew that if I had given somebody a heads up, they probably would have been like, oh, well, let me just stop by the house and check on her, see if she's okay. Or let me go. She said she's going to hibachi. I don't want her eating by herself. Let me go meet her. All the different things. And people mean well. They do.
Mhm.
Friends and family, they mean well. But sometimes I just want to be isolated from everybody.
Yeah.
And so I don't notify anybody that I'm taking this mental cleansing. I never notify anybody. I'm like, I'm just going to do this for me.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where I just may sit in the house and not do anything because I need a break. I need a break from everything. I go, go, go. My mind is constantly going. It's constantly moving. I'm trying to do my business. I'm helping other people operate their business. And it's like, whoo, I need a break. Because
Yeah.
if I don't take a break, I'm going to break. So it was necessary. And so that's what I do from time to time. Of course, it's not something that can be done that often. But when I reach my breaking point, I'm like, you know what? It's time to take a break.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
time to take a break. It's time to love on me. Time to
Mhm.
take a break. I also do yoga sometimes. I don't do it as often as I should, but a really, really good friend of mine, she teaches yoga, and yoga is really good. That's really good. It's definitely calming. It's calming. It's relaxing. I really, really love it.
Yeah.
So that's something I enjoy as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So meditation is
Yep.
good. That I need
Yep.
practice. Meditation is
Yep.
hard. You
Yep.
really
It
have to
is.
center, and yeah, I still have to practice that. But that's good though. So you can do short. Again, what we want to come out of this, and I'm gonna go over a couple of these. I just want to say them real quick. I'm gonna put my
Okay.
glasses on, but because I can't see nothing. But as I looked at, as you're thinking through, what are some ideas, right? As A Rose mentioned, she's like, I turn off social media. I turn off my phones. You can do the massaging. You can do meditation. You can, okay, I'm gonna put my glasses on because I can't really see these. Read a book, start journaling, set goals for yourself. That one made me a little nervous because it made me think of work. But
Yeah.
setting goals is good because then you achieve things. I see why they went there. Don't compare yourself to others. I circled that one. We have to stop
Yeah.
that. That's a big
Yeah.
one.
We do.
I'll tell you this one. Celebrate the little wins. Okay.
Yes.
We have to start doing that.
Yeah.
And we are all big celebration people. Like, I'm gonna celebrate my 50th, my 40th, now it's 55. And I'm like, I celebrate every year. Like, I don't,
Me
that's the
too.
birthday
Me
example.
too.
But even just
Yeah.
smaller than that, right? Like we've got to celebrate. Sometimes when we do those to-do lists,
Mhm.
figure out how
Yeah.
to stop and go, I did something.
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
good at that. I'm just saying, I'm circling the ones that I'm just not that good at. Are you good at celebrating small wins?
I am. That's really good that you mentioned that. I do really, really well about celebrating small, medium, large. I celebrate everything, like you said. I don't feel like you should have to wait until it's a big milestone
Mhm.
to celebrate yourself. I don't feel like it has to be this big over the top accomplishment for you
Mhm.
to celebrate yourself. It could be something just small. One thing that I do with a good friend of mine, and she's my spiritual sister as well. So a lot of times, throughout the week, we touch base with each other. How you doing? How are things going? You got a promotion at work. You got this going on. How's this going? Oh, you know what? I went ahead and submit because a friend of mine, she's submitting for a test. I can't think of the name of the test, but she has to apply for it, and then so she got approved to take the test. Let's go celebrate.
Mhm.
You haven't taken a test yet. You haven't passed yet, but guess what? Your application was accepted. So let's go celebrate. And
Do
so
that.
what we'll do is a couple times a week, don't tell nobody. We'll go get ice cream. I'm like a big kid. I'm like, let's go celebrate. Let's go get some ice cream. So we'll go to Jenny's and we'll go enjoy ice cream and we'll just pour into each other and get to love on one another. And like I said, celebrating the small wins, the
Uh,
big things. Like what are you looking forward to for, the next week? Let's pray together. Let's help encourage each other, build each other up for the next small win that we're going to celebrate. So yeah, that's so important.
Oh, that's great. Oh my gosh, I want to leave everybody with that one because I think that's a good one. Finding that person that we can talk to. I know, and if you don't have it here, Zooms are the best things ever. I mean, we all remember pandemic. We used to
Yeah.
Zoom all the time,
Yeah.
FaceTime, do all that. And if you don't have someone you can go get physical ice cream with, you can get virtual ice cream with.
You
So
can. Yep,
yeah,
that's good.
yes,
Yep.
right. Like, yeah,
Yep.
I think about
Yep.
that.
And
My sisters.
knowing the right person to share your wins with is important too. And I say that because, like I said, I just told you about a good friend of mine. We celebrate the small wins. In the past, I've had people that have been close to me that I thought were in my circle, and I would share something small with them, and they're like, "Ugh, you call me to tell me that? Like, that ain't nothing." Like, that's literally their response. And I'm like, wow. It just like, oh, well, that shot me down. I feel like maybe it wasn't that big, or maybe it's not something to celebrate. And I mean, it's things
But
like that could really, really impact, your confidence, when it comes to certain things. And so I had to learn who my people were, who
yeah,
were in my circle, who were in my corner, who really, really mean well and have my best interests at heart. And
yeah.
who I can celebrate with, because you can't celebrate with everybody. Everybody don't want to see you happy. Everybody don't want to see you win. And so of course they're not going to want to celebrate you because they don't want you to be happy to begin with.
Yeah. Wow.
Mhm,
That's a good tip. So
mhm.
find somebody to talk to, find the right person and make sure that person that you're both pouring into each other, because that is a
Yeah.
very, very
Yeah.
important thing. And it could be in the personal space, in the business space, mentor, mentee, like whatever that looks like. But I love that. And gosh, time has just flown by. I would love to talk more with A Rose. Who knows? We might do a part two, especially as it gets closer to. So I want to make sure I highlight it because she mentioned it. So especially for those of us in the Nashville area, you got to mark your calendar. Do you have a date yet?
I do not have a date yet. I'm still pending a date.
That's okay. So, but just follow. I'm gonna have all her social media stuff here. You make sure you follow her. She does an awesome show here. It's called Sorry for the Wait. And I know some of that went viral because there were some really good clips. I mean, the models are amazing. And maybe I'll pop up in there. We'll see.
Do come on. I would love to see you.
Oh gosh, but it was great to talk to you, A Rose. I want everybody to understand loving self has so many different looks. We've all kind of grown up, or our journey had us fluctuating between love, not loving, all different emotions. But where you are in your space today, if you need help or if you need someone to talk to in your circle, professional, personal, but just make sure that you are cultivating and loving upon yourself to be the best you that you can be, and search for that happiness. All right. Hey, Rose, again, awesome to talk with you. Thank you for lending She Means Business your time and your talent. And we should have mentioned we love the earrings too. She gave us a little
Thank
Black History Month.
you.
Mhm. I
Thank
am
you.
enough. Thank you, A Rose.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.